Let's go. Okay, we are live. All right, everybody. This is the commercial real estate morning, afternoon show. It's the afternoon show today because I was traveling to New York City. I'm at New York City Real Estate Tech Week this week, hanging out with my friend Christine, who's also on the board of the U.S. PropTech Council. And I have my friends here, Paul, which we're all jealously. We all want to live vicariously through Paul Sheedy because he travels the world. And
No. I'm in London. I just gave a speech in Kuwait, but I'm in London, yeah.
Oh, you gave a speech to who? Who'd you give it?
A Kuwaiti conference about AI.
Oh.
So I finished a speech a minute before we jumped on this one.
Oh, well, hey, there you go. You know, that's how we roll over here. We just got to have people who, give speeches all the time. That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. So 9 p.m. there. You look very chipper for being 9 p.m. It's awesome.
Well, you need 4 hours sleep a day.
You need what?
4 hours sleep a day is a Freddie man. It's good enough for Margaret Thatcher. It's good enough for me.
All right. Very cool. Oh, all right. Yay, Deanie's here too. Hey, Deanie. All right. Well, we'll get started on this this little show of mine, and I'll let everybody kind of introduce themselves. And I am on my phone, so my laptop is on a Southwest flight somewhere near you. Like I left it on the plane, so it's what it is. It'll, we'll figure it out. Eventually, I think I might get it back. So I'm hoping that on my way back home that I'll find my laptop on.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Don't even ask. Like I'm still stressing out. I'm like going, I bet my password's really secure. I think it is. Yes, I'm stressing out just a little. All right. Okay, let's get this party started. Kyle, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself to the crew, the folks that are watching us online.
Did you say me?
Yeah, you.
Me? Hello, me, Howard Berry, Avis & Young. I run the national data center platform here at Avis & Young. We do all things data center related in real estate.
Very cool. All right, Paul, your turn, sir.
I'm Paul Sheedy. I'm the CEO founder of Unified. We are a sensor technology company working in PropTech mainly.
Very cool.
And occupancy, yeah.
Yeah, awesome sauce. And Deanie, hi Deanie.
Hello, Amy. Deanie Taylor, I'm the CEO of Landmark Healthcare Properties, a private outpatient medical developer of buildings all over the U.S.
Very cool. And I'm Amy Palvido. For those of you who don't know me, I am the chair of the U.S. PropTech Council. And I am the host of this show, plus some other things that I put together, like the PropTech Genius Show, and I'm also a founder, a PropTech founder. So, but we get on this show and talk about real estate. So let's get to it. So, Deanie, this one's for you. This is the first story I have, and it was a story that came out a couple days ago. I guess it was on Friday. And I thought it was interesting because I didn't know what it meant. So, this is when I don't know what a lot of healthcare real estate means. So it's like, okay, I'm going to ask Deanie this question. So apparently Medical Properties Trust sold their managed care division to another healthcare organization. And what is managed care? And is it like a big deal or not a big deal? I'm just curious. Or can you comment on it?
It's when you say managed care, consider it a commercial insurance product that was developed inside medical properties, and it was just an entity they got rid of.
Interesting. So it was like, let me see what I can equate it to. So you had a healthcare plan that you could only go to that facility to use?
If you remember, they had ownership in the operations of the hospitals, not just real estate.
Okay.
And by doing that, by getting into the operations, they also had the ability to get into the revenue side of the hospitals and therefore have a managed care product that would then have that hospital as a provider in that product. And that is some of the issue of the overlap of REITs getting into the operations of the tenant, meaning for them, the hospitals.
Interesting.
See what I mean?
Yeah, no, I got you. So they were actually doing like who you would the REITs are only supposed to own real estate, right? So a majority of what you do,
Except if you know,
5%.
senior housing REITs can own the operations inside senior housing. There are some exclusions that allow that. And they were able to do it with hospitals. That is what some of the issues by Congress are right now about REITs having ownership of their tenants, so to speak.
Okay. So is that what Senator Warren was getting all up?
Exactly. She's hot on it.
Okay. So it was healthcare and hotels, I think. It was both.
Yes.
Is
Well,
it
I don't know about hotels. I do know about healthcare.
Yeah, no, true. But I think those are the two people she was targeting because they own the operations also and thought they were getting away with like the REITs were getting away with like these tax, they weren't paying their taxes or I don't know. It was interesting. Okay. Well, I'm sure there's more to come on that, but I don't know if anything will get done in Congress if it's democratically led.
Now that the way it turned out, the way the elections turned out, I doubt it'll get a lot of talk, but nothing will happen. That's what I've been told.
Okay. Well, so everybody's going, right?
Dean, I was going to say, I read some article the other day that Medical Properties Trust and something about Stewart Healthcare had gone bust. We always think over here that your medical care costs so much money in the US. How do companies go bankrupt? Because we always think that US hospitals and the medical sector just is swimming in money.
Well, first of all, you've got the wrong opinion of the U.S. healthcare system.
Okay, I didn't say it was good. I said it was expensive.
But the for-profit hospitals that we're talking about were struggling because of many expense issues, some of which was only related to their real estate, but was really related to a lot of salaries and supplies, things like that. And they were not the leading hospitals in the market. They would not be what you would call your most successful and profitable hospitals. They just weren't. And so that plus expense overruns in several areas caused them to basically not be able to pay vendors, not be able to pay rent, all of those things. And then the landlord also had ownership of the hospital itself, the operations. So, you have to think the landlord's paying themselves, so to speak, out of the operations of the hospital.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's not a good example of how the healthcare works in the U.S., but we still don't make a lot of money.
You sure, Deanie?
Not the hospital.
You lied to me now.
Not the hospitals.
Okay, good.
Not the hospital. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The hospitals aren't making a lot of money. I don't guess or even could fathom to understand how hospitals run and they're all dependent upon insurance. I mean, I've only been a patient, so I've never been on the hospital administration side, but I'm sure it's quite onerous for sure. And you're waiting, a lot of times they're just waiting on payments from insurers or the government or whatever. They're not making their payments timely, right? So now you're having to front load a lot of the cash, right? So 90 days you're having to I'm sure I can see how they run in cash flow problems for sure, right? So it's interesting.
Hospitals are expensive operation.
Very expensive.
Yeah. You've got regulations, rules. You've got to keep up with the facility. It's not cheap to run a hospital by any means.
It's not like other countries that the government just pays them whatever they want to pay them. It doesn't work that way here.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about
Canada, right? Canada.
A great hole that the NHS just sinks. No matter how much money you put in the NHS, it's just going to sink it and drink it, and it's all going to be gone.
Let's talk about data centers or something else.
Let's talk about data centers now. Let's do that. Yeah. So, any news in your world, Howie? How's everything going there?
Huge news as we are real estate brokers focus on real estate. We really, on the data center side, focus on the energy side. The energy side is the most important part. And Biden administration just released details today how they have a plan to triple the U.S. nuclear power by 2050.
And he's going to do
So
that
more nuclear.
2025. He's just going to get all that done.
Well, he's got a plan. There's a plan in place, and they're going to build more nuclear, which is it's needed, and it's just a piece of what's needed to expand the data center market. What I think they say by 2040 they're going to put something like 35 gigawatts of power. 2035 they'll add additional 35 gigawatts. We need to be by 2030 another 60 gigawatts of power just to accommodate where the data center growth is going. So that's just a portion of what needs to happen here. So a lot of changes need to happen, but it's a good first step. And nuclear is, a lot of people are worried, scared about what could happen with nuclear, but there are 97 nuclear reactors in the United States that have been operating since the 1970s, and most of Europe is all nuclear. So you don't hear anything going on over there.
Those few examples were so sporadic, Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island and whatever. I mean, these were just one-offs. I mean, this was such old technology. We've moved on leaps and bounds. And I think I mentioned before, what Bill Gates has been doing is just, it's groundbreaking. And that's where we got to go. I mean, we've got proper companies like Rolls-Royce working with Bill Gates on these things. It's not like Mickey Mouse 1950s technology.
But what was the deal with the Amazon thing where they weren't allowed to use the nuclear reactor? Like who got up in arms about? I don't understand what that was all about. Did you follow that, Howie?
Yeah, I couldn't speak to it intelligently, but there was some government slowed down the process, and this process is really slow in the U.S. to get nuclear going. So it's not that they're out. The same thing goes with Microsoft and 3 Mile Island. It's a slow process, and we're going to get to, as far as Bill Gates, the small modular nuclear, and the data center is going to become the energy generator for the grid. Is what the future should be and will be. And we're going to see a lot more of small modular nuclear next to a data center, and then it'll operate on its own, but then refeed back into the grid. And I can see, we do push wind and solar's good. Wind isn't as good. It's expensive to build, and it's not completely reliable.
It's very good over here. We got a lot of wind in the UK. This is the whole thing about sustainability. It's what suits us. California's going to be great for solar. Northern UK, something amazing for wind.
Right. You wouldn't do so good with solar. Your days of the rays are a little shaded. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's where the technology is getting so good. China put out a product recently that is fail-safe. They've actually shut this reactor. It drops these pellets out of the bottom automatically, but they found that even when they lost all water supply to it, that it never overheated, and it was fail-safe. It's completely there's new technologies out there that are making even what we have now better. And for a lot of people, they don't understand how nuclear works. I'll just say quickly, the nuclear generates heat. Heat creates steam with water, and steam turns a turbine. So really, it's hydroelectric when you look at it.
It's just using. They're blowing up atoms to get it to move, right? I mean, basically.
Yeah, it's generating heat, right? Yeah. Friction creates heat, and then heat creates steam.
So, with the new administration, obviously, whatever Biden hands him, but this is my half a nickel, y'all, based off of my perception of Donald Trump, is that he won't take whatever Biden hands him unless it's something that totally and I would think he would want to do this. Like, this makes sense to him, other than he's a very oil and gas friendly guy, but we can't oil and gas our way into electricity generation of what we need to get done, right? So, and it might be it's such a huge problem that he can just hang his hat on that trophy that he fixed it, right? Whatever, and I don't care who fixed it fixed, right?
Right. We take, like I said, what Biden put out is not even enough. And so it's just going to need to be bumped up, and that gives Trump the opportunity to take that plan and just beef it up to a stronger deployment of nuclear, if possible.
And that is the only solution that we have right now, right? Nuclear is it, or is there? Yeah.
It's a combination.
It's the best.
It's got to be a combination.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's a lot of different technologies that are out there that are pretty efficient, but they might use natural gas as a combustible.
Yeah. Interesting.
Gotta get off the gas and oil.
Yeah, I mean, so UK went away from what, like the coal the coal plants, right?
Finished. Yeah, finally.
Finally, they got off the coal plants because y'all not a fan of coal. You know, obviously.
No, nobody should be a fan of coal.
Nobody should
Any
be.
fans of coal here? Thank you. No hands up.
Okay, if it turns into
Back
diamonds,
on my Christmas card list. Go on, what?
coal and turn it into diamonds, and I'll be happy. That's fine. Yeah.
We can manufacture diamonds now, okay? We shouldn't be mining that stuff anymore.
Okay. All right.
Let's go property again, huh? Back to property.
No, it's fine. You know, you never shy away from your opinion. That's always good. Everybody on this call is like that, which is great. All right. So what was happening in your world, the Kuwaiti thing? What was that all about? I think
Well, I was just giving a speech about AI and sensor technology and occupancy technology and lowering risks in high-rise buildings and all that.
So that is interesting when we talk about. I just had somebody on my PropTech Genius show the other day, and he's been in access control for most all of his career, and he was talking about how that one piece of access control is basically with AI is getting just kind of turned on its head on how interesting of a way, because people are very much, obviously, he's like, it used to be back in the day where it was just like, we don't care how much we inconvenience you because we're trying to keep everybody safe. So suck it up and we don't care, right? To now everybody wants it to be super convenient and safe. So,
well,
you know,
you see, the problem with that, and you know, the issue is convenience is a massive problem. It's a problem because we want everything to be too convenient, and things go wrong. I mean, I think I mentioned this before. The building I'm in right now, I've been here for about 11 years, and up to 3 years ago, the building knew I was here, so it knew what floor I was on, it knew whatever it needed to know.
Right.
3 years ago, for convenience, when I go downstairs to leave the building, go down the 39th floor, flight of stairs, leave the building, the gates automatically open, so it doesn't know I've left. It just knows a human being is coming towards it. And my issue with that is we had a very rare power cut here about 5 months ago, and for whatever reason, all the fire evacuation lighting was broken because nobody changed the batteries for 12 years, and the fire doors had just been changed over to a mobile system, but they hadn't been tested, and all the fire doors were locked. And this is where I got annoyed because I was thinking, hang on, it's 10:30 at night, I'm on the 39th floor of a building, and you don't even know I'm here. That's the issue. And that's where I think a lot of times, I've said this several times, we have to get on the right side of convenience. Yes, things can be convenient, but you know, there's a reason why there should be some, you know, checks and balances there as well. And I felt that was when I really realized this convenience, which, you know, I liked, was actually really quite stupid, because what if something had gone particularly wrong that night? Well, then nobody knows you're on the floor. And that's when we got to be careful. And actually, the very opposite of what I was talking about in Kuwait was how we're working on non-powered devices now, non-powered IoT devices. And what we're devising now with the professors I'm working from Manchester is harnessing energy from actual Wi-Fi. So 2.4, 5, 6, and 7G Wi-Fi, which is, you know, pulsating all the time. But we're now at a point where we developed very, very sensitive antennas, which will pull in the frequency of the Wi-Fi and just produce, I mean, honestly, tiniest amounts of energy, but just enough for us to power very, very small IoT devices that will just send out sensor data to us every 5-10 minutes. That's all we need. And what I'm trying to do, the opposite of the data centers use water power, I'm actually trying to reverse back and see how can we devise and build IoT devices that literally use no power at all. They take the power in the air. So that's
static electricity. Static electricity.
It's actually from the radio wave from Wi-Fi.
Oh, the radio waves. Oh yeah. Okay.
So
It's
that
pretty hard. It's not like, but I don't enjoy things that are hard. If it was easy, I wouldn't be bothered. It's like spending an hour with Amy. I know it's hard, but I've got to do it.
oh, shut your mouth. But no, I mean that's super interesting. But it also leads me to start thinking. My brain starts spinning around. Yeah, that's cool and all, but then now that you're getting your IoT device powered from the Wi-Fi, right? So obviously your digital infrastructure now becomes even more important, but then also your cybersecurity does too, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like Deanie would like when they would go into hospitals or whatever, that would be one of they'd be checking every IoT device to make sure people couldn't hack in. But now if you're powering the thing with Wi-Fi,
To tell you how basic, so we're doing exactly the opposite to Intel and everybody else. We're making a microchip do the very least it could possibly ever do. I mean, it literally is only sending back the tiniest amount of information you could ever imagine possible. Because the amount of power that's out there is so tiny that we have to reverse engineer back what's the least something can do. I can assure you we wouldn't be able to crack into the Pentagon using one of these devices, that's for sure.
That's what I had a pacemaker in me a while back, and I was always worried, like, did someone hack this? Could somebody turn me on or off or whatever, just like.
Homeland or something at one point, wasn't it on a TV show? They hacked into somebody's pacemaker.
Yeah, right. If you can think it, it'll happen. But
Wow.
Polly, your story about the gates and everything, I built a 1.5 million square foot shopping center in San Francisco. And one of the biggest things we had to figure out was really difficult in a fire alarm. Do you let the doors automatically unlock on the entry because it's safety for people maybe coming in, but are you locking the people in there inside the building? And it took us like a week to figure it out. What's the protocol on this?
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of thinking.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting area, and actually, I think I mentioned to you, Amy, when I was in China there a few weeks back. The amount of progress made over there was quite extraordinary. And actually, one of the buildings we're about to do in Shanghai with occupancies for an old people's home, 17-story old people's home, and just doing amazing stuff there. Absolutely incredible. Actually, Howard, I want to talk to you privately because I don't want the share price to go anywhere. I've got a bit of technology I really want to share with you. Okay, so let's have it off because we kind of Amy and Deanie there spying on us. Okay, we have a little private talk next time. Okay.
But I accept all forms of payment for kickbacks. I'm just saying.
You'll get a piece, Deanie. Don't worry.
Absolutely.
So, Deanie, are you in New York? Did you come to CRE-Tech?
I get there tonight. Oh,
awesome. Great. So, Deanie and I will be in New York, and the rest of you are not, right? You're no longer in New York.
Next year, Amy, okay? Promise you.
All right. Okay. So this week is New York City Real Estate Tech Week. So CRE-Tech starts kind of tonight, some tomorrow. It's one of the real estate technology shows. And so I will be there. So I'm coming to you live from New York. But no, I mean, it should be a fun time for sure. It should be really interesting. I've been told I need to go get some pizza because it's not the same. I'm like, I don't know. I think pizza's pizza, but I'm sure there's something I need to eat while I'm here. I used to come to New York a lot, so it's all good. But pizza, for sure. I have not had pizza in New York in a long time. So very cool. What are you looking forward to seeing, Deanie, while you're here? What are you just kind of a deploy?
I had a couple companies out at the ULI meeting talk about AI and some prop tech stuff, and heard about this technology they're using with drones to basically eliminate the need for people on roofs and stuff like that to assess roofs and HVAC systems. You can do it now with a drone with the kind of algorithms that have been put together. And so I think it seems to me that most of the technology and all has been geared to commercial office, but it's time to figure out where it applies to medical. And so that's what I'm going to be looking for is how does a lot of this technology, medical tends to be slow to bring it in. And so that's what I'm interested in is hearing about it, talking to some people. So I've set up some meetings of how this prop tech and all of this stuff could be applied in medical and make it less expensive and more efficient to manage our buildings.
Yeah.
Deanie, I have a question for you. Can I ask a question, Amy?
Yeah, Corey.
I'm going in. Does OSHA get in like all these technologies that comes in? Is OSHA involved in approving these kinds of technologies? Is that what's take so long? Like, is there any kind of rules around safety and new technologies? You know, if you're having drones flying over a hospital, you don't want them flying into the patient window or, and there are data centers that have drones that fly over them with autonomous dogs, robot dogs that go around the property.
Yeah. So in the drones that we deploy, the autonomous thing is always the difficult thing because it has to get approved by the FAA, right? So if it's piloted, nobody cares. But when as soon as it becomes autonomous, that's when everybody cares. When it's like flying.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. But the whole thing around the roofs, this is one of the number one things that we get asked about. Now it's like more and more because people are trying to put more and more things on their roofs. And to understand, from load calculations, can we put solar panels up there? Can we change out our HVAC units? Can we do certain different things? And we always generally do like thermal imaging of those roofs, right? It's to understand, when you do thermal imaging, you look at a lot of things. Load isn't necessarily one of them, but understanding, are there the conditions of those roofs and are they going to make it past a year? Like, you can't really tell from walking on the stupid thing, but you can tell by using thermal imaging and some photogrammetry to kind of figure out what those true conditions are. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. And I'm old property manager. I would have been using drones a long time ago. Anything to keep people off my roof so they didn't fall off of it, I would have been using it. Like, no joke. Like, it's always such a huge risk when you have anybody go up on a roof.
The other is that I think is got a real application now in medical is really the security in and out of the buildings, because we now have had too many examples of problems in the building, because a medical building typically may not have security right at the door, and we definitely have not had a history of having various types of detecting devices and stuff. And so I think it's finding how do you secure a building because you want it open for the patients to get in and their families and all of that. So I think seeing some new technology around that. The other is what technologies can the landlord really own that become value add for their tenants? So the tenant picks that building over. It's almost like the smart home. Well, how do we find the smart medical building that you want to be in? Might cost you 50 cents more, but it's better than being in a building that was built 10 or 15 years ago. So it's all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm looking for. Interesting.
So doctors will choose to be in one location over another based off of whatever their preferences are, right?
And the technology inside the doctor's office with equipment and all is just advancing unbelievably, but the building has to support that.
Right.
I mean, the worst thing in the world, and we've all gone through this with older buildings, is to not have Wi-Fi work throughout the building, and the doctor's equipment doesn't work the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And so that kind of stuff's been fixed, but I think there's more yet to come as we get into personal devices and stuff. All of that's going to be feeding back to the doctor's office, and that building has to support that no matter where that doctor is.
Yeah.
Well, it's also client data that you got to be careful with, because there's sovereignty around the data that you're moving, and that's a big issue because there's a lot of limit. You're restricted in what you can do with patients' data, moving it around. So it's tough. You got to be careful. But I apologize. I have to jump in, and I only had 30 minutes. But thank you, everybody, and Paul. I will talk to you, and thanks for having me on today.
I get a piece of it. Don't just remember.
We know, Didi. Slice of pizza for you, slice of pizza for Amy. We'll all be happy.
Thanks, guys.
I do want to show you, Amy, in terms of technology. This is my new toy. I picked this new toy up in Hong Kong.
Really
it's absolutely mind-blowing. It's a LiDAR with a 360 camera.
Yeah.
It completely scans the building, then superimposes all the colors everyone sees on top of the scan it does.
Yep.
mind bending. I have to say, it's
Too
it's
big.
our new little
It
toy.
should have been smaller.
Okay, yeah, it should have been, but yeah. Eventually you'll be able to do that on your iPhone. Just saying out loud. But yes,
Well, this is just.
they're
I'll
super
tell you
cool.
what. We've been shocked how amazing this bloody piece of kit is. We've been
We
blown away.
have we're working on a partnership with a drone that does that. So the drone will autonomously fly around and build a digital twin just with the drone itself, and it's scanning everything. And not only will it build a digital twin of the building itself, but all the equipment inside that building. So if you've got fixtures that are, you know, bolted into the floor, and you want to understand what that equipment looks like and the space that it's occupying and all these other different things, that tech is just super, super cool. And I think, you know, having a drone where you can just launch a drone no matter where you are, just launch a drone and do inspections, and launch a drone to do whatever, and it's going around and scanning and doing its thing. I think that's kind of that's headed for sure. Until we, you know, and then we'll eventually have robots doing it too, right? So we'll have robots and drones just walking around doing, robots playing security guard and robots doing that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It's really good.
Star Wars is almost here. We're almost going to have lightsabers and stuff. I mean, this is going to be awesome.
You already have guns, don't you? Your Second Amendment.
Yeah. On that, yeah. We love our
On
guns.
the big elephant in the room. Why have we not mentioned the big elephant in the room? Come on, Amy, tell us.
Okay, which elephant is that? We have lots of.
There's only one elephant, the orange one. Go on.
Well, okay, yeah, yes, Trump won, right? And so we're gonna go through an interesting time over here in the U.S. Just waiting on that. If David Auerbach were here, he would tell you that it's so funny because we were talking about this leading up into the election. We were talking about this, and then we were talking about it. Like, he's like, it's not going to matter who's in the seat. I mean, that was kind of David's point, was like, it doesn't matter who's there. I mean, now that was before we knew that he was going to get the Senate and the House. And so now it matters. So it's going to be, I don't think they have the House yet. Keep me up on politics.
No, they do.
No, they don't. We don't have a majority. In order for him to just ramrod stuff through, he doesn't have a 2/3 majority in the Senate. He doesn't have enough. You know what I mean? He has to have, and if you're just gonna override things, you'd have to have enough, 70 or 67 seats in the Senate, and he doesn't have that, right? So it's kind of an interesting thing, but yeah. So I don't know what that holds right now. I think more people. I think he's going to be so focused on the inflationary environment that we're in, and how
he's going to have the story in 2 days. He said.
Oh yeah.
Inflation of the story in 2 days.
Right.
The greatest economist in the history of the world. Anyway, moving on.
All right, we're making fun of him. It's okay. I mean, he said stuff that he should be made fun of about, for sure. I mean, nobody can fix the American economy in 2 days. So just saying out loud. But he says things in jest a lot, and people try to take him seriously for it. So we shall see.
What's the effect going to be in the property sector? Is there a bigger effect on the property sector in America because of this, or not really? I want to talk because he's got such a vested interest that it's going to be bubble wrapped.
State world, it was whoever they felt like had it, and this is just my half a nickel, is whoever could get a hold of the inflation and start convincing Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. I think that's what everybody was hoping for. I mean, Deanie, he more welcome to chime in, and so I felt like most people felt like Trump could handle that better than Kamala could, and so that's why he got elected. It's really all about the economy. Like James Carville was right way back in the day. It's the economy, stupid, and I think that's what really most people cared about more than anything else over all the other things that we should have cared about. But yeah, no, and so whether he can or he can't, I don't know. I mean, we had a horrible jobs report come out in October finally, so it looks like the number of jobs that have been added in 2024 are a lot less than that were added in 2023, and that could be a mixed bag. Some people were blaming the hurricanes, some not, but overall, if you look at this year prior to last year, or this year compared to last year, we're not anywhere near what we were adding we're adding in 2023. So that should signal, hopefully, that we're in a recession. Hello, I mean, real estate's been feeling it for years. But I think that's what they were waiting on. They were waiting on the jobs report. So when they made the 25 bips basis cut, I think which is what everybody was expecting. We just didn't feel it. Right? Yeah. I don't know. Go, Deanie.
No, we just didn't see anything. You're exactly right.
Yeah, it was like, okay, well, I mean, had they gone more, like had they dropped it 50, I think everybody would have been, oh, okay, well, they're, you know, but because it was 25, I think we're like, okay, whatever. I mean, that was kind of the response. It was like, you know.
We did another 25% base point cut last week here in the UK, but again, it's minuscule. It's not worth talking about.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, just based on the just what everybody's feeling in their pocketbooks every day, 25. By the time it rolls through the system to where it actually might feel a little less pressure, it's still not. I mean, it's still. I mean, I went to a restaurant to buy fast. I was coming home from soccer practice. This is my story. I'm coming home from soccer practice. Grady's hungry, and I'm stopping to get some fried chicken, right? And like just a little combo pack of fried chicken. It was $15, and that did not include the drink. And it was like 4 chicken strips and fries and some coleslaw. And I'm like, $15 for that. And it was like, you know, I don't know, 60% higher than what it was a year ago. Yeah. I'm like, I mean, you just like, at some point you just can't do that anymore, right? It's like, kid, we're gonna I'm making you lunches and we're bringing peanut butter and jelly and like, get over it. I just don't. I mean, eating out has become a luxury now, and that's like eating out to go to get pizza.
And how is the hospitality sector in the US? Because it's really suffering here. And we had a horrendous budget. Honestly, the worst budget under this new government. So they put the taxes that I have to pay on employing people have gone right up through the roof. The rights of employees have gone like incredible. New rights for employees, huge tax increases, and huge increase in the minimum wage here. So the impact on employers in the UK has just been astronomical, and we're all reading from it. And I think where it's going to suffer is one, I'm going to be hiring less people. I'm now going to be going, you know what? We got to come up with AI techniques to take some of these jobs over. And this is where I'm seeing a big change actually here as well, is that people who have got amazing degrees, master's degrees, double degrees, can't get a job. And I think we're seeing a big shift away. People who've spent like a lot of time, a lot of money on their education, and now are sitting there going, God, there's no jobs. And I see a lot of the banks around here, the JP Morgans, they're just not recruiting anyone. They're thinking, you know what? We get computers to do this stuff. AI.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think they're giving AI more credit than it deserves right now. I mean, like, that's just me, but I think it's going to change. It's either you become your job, you need to learn how to use AI in your job and use it every day in order for you to stay in your job. I mean, I think I think the job just changes. Right. And it becomes, but some jobs will go away. I mean, I
think that, but it's actually a lot of the very, very highly paid jobs are going to go away. Not so much flipping burgers at McDonald's. It will be the JP Morgans, the Morgan Stanleys, these type of guys. They're going to see those big salaries where they had, 100,000 people working. They're going to go, you know what, we don't actually need all these people any longer. We can just start crunching the numbers through techniques.
When people start to trust AI, then they trust what they're being told, then I think that's what happens for sure. Like, I think when you, I mean, I don't know, we enter a world where you go and, I mean, telehealth was a thing before, but if you can bring stuff to your house and it can scan you while you're there and you can remote in to see a doc. Now, nobody wants to do this, but I think as the younger kids, I don't think they're really going to care if a doctor touches them or not. But
Well, they don't get sick anyway, do they?
yeah, exactly. But I mean, as we go through more things and there's more AI advancements, I mean, our world's going to significantly change, right? I mean, I think lots of people liken it to the advent of the internet, right? I mean, it
Yep.
significantly changed how everybody does business or how everybody lives, and I think AI does the same thing. Where does it go? It's early days. I mean, right now, AI still tells you stupid things, right? So they have a testing mechanism on like they'll test like Chat GPT on validity of the answers it gives, right? So they test Gemini and they test all the LLMs that are out there now, and they're getting about on the scoring, and I don't know who the scoring person is. They're getting about like 78%, 75% right. So they're like 25% wrong, right? And so,
Well, yeah, it's funny because one of the people who spoke at the conference I just spoke at now, they said that the average human has got an IQ of about 100, and AI has an IQ of about 120. So it's not that amazing.
it's true. But the thing is about any sort of artificial intelligence, and what people are missing the boat, they just want it to do all the work for them. But at the end of the day, you have to train it. You have to train it to do what you want it to do, right? You have to tell it the way you think about certain things so it can take those mundane tasks off of you. I mean, ChatGPT is super great. I mean, I was watching one guy, he had taught ChatGPT how to do real estate underwriting and the way that he wanted to do the underwriting. And so he would say, just using ChatGPT, he's like, hey, I'm looking at this market, and this address, and this is the property, run my analysis. But he had taught what he wanted it to and he had given the information back and
Exactly.
fed through prompt engineering and fed the information to. Over time it had learned what he was looking for, and then he trained his dragon, right? So now he knows what, and so now it spits it out in like a few seconds, like this is it, and just gives it a score, like this is an A, this is an A minus, this is a B, and so he knows, oh, do I need to pursue that or not? So that's what AI can do.
I mean, you put garbage in, you're going to garbage out is the other thing with it.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to ask the right questions in the right way. You have to be informed of what it is you're trying to actually achieve here.
Yes.
What I was going to say, one thing which really has fascinated me is Elon Musk's new role as chief firing of the entire government of America. So it runs on an AI computer. What is there? I mean, obviously we get a filtered story here, but so he's got. I think Trump said, so that guy just got rid of 80% of people at Twitter. I'm hiring him to get rid of the US. Is this real? Is he going in there to bring all these efficiencies in? Because my God, that will be a shakeup.
I don't know. Trump is such a wild card. I don't know what the F is gonna. But the only thing is that the way the U.S. was built is they only have so much power, right? The executive branch only has so much power, and then you got to get through Congress, the other pieces of it, and Congress holds the purse string. So Trump can do whatever he wants, but if he can't get anything passed and can't get anything funded, he ain't going to do a whole lot. So it's interesting, and that our founding fathers, which they left the UK and came over here, way back in the day, but they created the separation, the three branches for a reason. So we'll see. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting time. It's an interesting time. We'll just kind of hang out. Deanie and I will be getting our buckets of popcorn, and we'll be watching it like everybody else, watching.
Right. And trying to make hospitals make more money.
Exactly.
So they can pay rent.
Exactly. I know, for sure. So do you have any hospitals? So when you're Deanie, in your deal, is it hospitals or is it mostly medical offices?
It's all outpatient medical.
Oh,
no hospitals.
Okay. All right. So, but you locate yourself near hospitals, right? Or no? It doesn't matter.
It can be on campus. It can be on or off campus. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
in this
I would
day and
assume
time.
that that's changing, right? I mean, honestly, I think we've talked about it before. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't have a primary care physician. I hardly ever get sick, and neither does my kid. And I'm Dr. Mom. And so unless it's really bad, we're not going, right? And, but I always just go to an urgent care clinic. I mean, if it's really bad, like he broke something or whatever, and I'm going to an urgent care clinic. If he's got like a major thing that I can't solve as Dr. Mom, like we go there. Am I the only one doing that?
Well, the outpatient medical buildings, the larger ones, are being put away from the hospital because it's more convenient for patients. It's more where physicians live. And the technology brings everything there. The day will come where hospitals basically are doing things that only can be done in an inpatient, whether that's transplants, trauma, major surgery, things like that. But you don't need an outpatient medical building next to that. And hospitals, we learned this in the pandemic. Matter of fact, we surveyed hundreds of people in 5 markets. Patients don't want to go to a hospital, and their families don't, because that's where you go and you can get sick, more sick than when you went in. And so if it can be done away from a hospital, that's what people want. And the technology is supporting it. I mean, I would have never thought 10 years ago you could replace a hip and go home the same day from a surgery center in an outpatient building miles away from a hospital. But that is the norm now. Matter of fact, Medicare, unless you got other conditions, won't pay unless you do that. They won't pay the extra to go into a hospital unless you've got other conditions. So, I mean, that's where it's going.
Oh, interesting. So you have to be like super sick to go to a hospital then, or having a baby or whatever. But yeah, that's crazy.
Or have no insurance and no way to pay, and then you end up in the emergency room.
Right. And so then you're at the county hospital
or we fly them to England.
Exactly. That's what we're doing. We're all just shipping them to Canada and to London so they can pay
who
for
are going to be taking millions of Mexicans as well any moment now.
Yeah. It's not about buses. It's about flights.
Exactly. We knew we were going to get into politics. We knew it was going to happen.
Let's get into religion next. Really, let's shake this up a bit, yeah?
It's too funny. Well, this has been fun, y'all. All right, Deanie. Well, I will see you later this evening.
I'll be around tomorrow. I'll find you.
Yeah. All right. Cool. And Paul, you have a good evening, and let me know the next time you're speaking at some other global event. And yeah, you need to come to the US. By the way,
I guarantee I'll come to CRE next year, New York. Promise you. Okay.
Cool. Awesome.
In the diary.
All right.
Have a great
guys.
one.
We'll
Pleasure.
see you.
Bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye. And maybe here we go. There we go. Well, that's been the Commercial Real Estate Morning News Show that happened in the afternoon because I was flying to New York this morning. So with my lovely friends. So it was always such a fun time. I hope y'all learned something. This is a show of the U.S. PropTech Council, which is the trade association for the real estate industry or technology industry in the U.S. And we are sponsored by Lerner and Associates, which is the mergers and acquisition consultant for the PropTech industry. It's run by Ben Lerner. He's a really cool dude. And I will be seeing him later at CRE. So if you are at CRE, come find me. I'd love to meet you. I will be running around doing all sorts of things at CRE this week in New York City. So we will see y'all there. Have a good one.